One of the most common questions I see in our community Discord is how to play whatever the map is in Trials for a particular weekend at that chance to go flawless. After seeing these a while, I decided to break down exactly what routes, strategies, and lanes that I like to take when I'm going flawless, starting with the Jav-4 map. This is a pretty lengthy breakdown with both map and in-game demonstrations, so I recommend making yourself a Nutella sandwich. Yes, that's right, Nutella is king. Let's jump in. Alright, so in Trials, you have the two spawn points. One is at A, and one is down here by generators and behind there. I'm going to go through 3 or 4 routes for both sequences. First, I'm going to go through all of the ones for A, switching back between the map and then in-game to show you some of the lanes that you should be checking. And then I'm going to move over to the other side and show you some of the routes through there. So starting out when you're spawning right here, let's call this scenario A1. So what I really like to do is send 2 people up through here in the B direction while I send 1 person through pipes. The reason I like to do that is because this guy right here in the middle kind of has that option to go and support B or turn this way if the person in pipe says, oh my god, they're all pushing me through jump up. I really don't like sending 2 people through pipes because having 2 people right here is kind of useless. There aren't really a lot of options when you're in pipes. In fact, I consider this a bit of a quarterback situation where they're specifically here to make callouts and support however they need to. Let me hop in the game and show you what these 3 people should be doing on their routes. Beginning with A1, I'll show you the person going pipes. So let's say they're heading in this direction. I like them to put a shield right here. Now, if you're playing a very good team, you'll learn right away that someone on the other side might try and, do a jump snipe on you if they have Icarus on their sniper. If that's the case, you can always put your shield down a little earlier. Like if you're coming around right here, you could put it like that, and when you end it here, you sort of save yourself from getting sniped on that direction, but you can still get a nice radar ping and figure out what the team is doing. So it's at this situation right here where you need to communicate everything you know to your 2 teammates that went to the left. My main concerns are jump up. If more than 1 person jumps up here, I'm not even gonna start shooting them. I'm literally just gonna slide back because I am dead if I try and kill 2 people at once. Other than jump up, I'm concerned about this box right here. Someone might be able to peek on this side of it, or a lot of people, again, with Icarus, like to jump up and try and get a pot shot off right above here. So I'm usually just ready to do that if I need to. If you happen to notice, oh wow, there's no one here, that probably means one of 2 things. Either the other team all went outside, and if that's the case, you need to take over mid control. You need to take over this area with your team. If they didn't go outside, the other option is that they all pushed through B, in which case you need to immediately cut through here. You could throw a grenade, do whatever you need to help your team out. A last option is jumping up on jump up and then sliding through here to try and cut these guys off from behind. All right, now on the left-hand side, I'm going to cover both of the A1 routes that are heading towards B and 1. First step is to check the radar to figure out what's happening. Your radar will ping that outer ring version if they're not pushing really hard. If they are pushing you really hard, the radar is going to ping right away, and you probably don't want to cross this line. You should already be throwing a grenade and maybe even backpedaling depending on what the situation is and the communications are from the person over there. Either way, I like when 1 person challenges left here, but more importantly, uses this to block that left-hand lane to take an angle off here. This is a really nice support point because it's very easy to get back like this, and it's very easy to help out in this direction. The other person that went left towards B, I really like to jump up high like this and come all the way around as quick as I can. If I don't confront anyone, like I said, if I end up going all the way here, I have a couple decisions. Maybe I'm going outside if they're all outside to get an angle. Maybe I'm just supporting my teammate. Like, you'd be surprised how many times the other team is sitting on jump up like this, ADSing, not paying attention to their radar because they're still fighting that 1 person. And then I come through this doorway and kill them from behind. Let's go on to the next scenario. All right, now the next scenario I'll call A2. It's a slight variation from that. I still really like to send someone towards the B direction to kind of cause some havoc and ping the radars on this side. But this time that secondary person will intentionally look this way while our third goes through pipes. What I like about this is that if you communicate, these 2 people can often team shot the same person. If the person at B says, uh-oh, they're pushing me, well, then they can both push through here. And again, they'll know from their radar if they're going to get any crossfire in this direction. So let me run through what I like to do from these 3 perspectives. All right, now we're on to scenario B. I'm going to skip the pipes direction because they're doing the exact same thing. The person going left If they don't have that other person supporting them, like the person jumping above them going across, has to be extra careful. You have to be ready to backpedal, but you're essentially doing the same things that I discussed before. This person on the right, as I mentioned, their whole idea here is to get a quick angle. So if the person on pipes says that there's people there, this person can support, but you need to do it one at a time. So I'm usually checking that angle, and then, you know, again, based on these comments, maybe this person says they're on box. Well, you can slide out and shoot on box. Maybe this person says they're on heavy or on jump up. There you go. So as long as this quarterback is good at reading their radar, this person can fully trust their teammate. If the person at B is in trouble, well, guess what? I can either go backwards and help them, or again, depending on my own radar reading, I can decide to cut through here and get a different angle like that again. This next one we'll call A3. I like to send 2 people outside while another person goes pipes. And again, this is sort of like that quarterback situation because their radar can help determine what the other team is doing, if they're taking over mid control, if they're going outside. This person can easily join their team around here, or they can push through here if they realize that it's totally safe to do so. Let's go talk about those angles. This is where we're sending 2 people on the outside and then 1 person towards the inside. You cannot send that 1 person through B. If they get cut off by the other team, they have no hope in hell because you're too far away. So you always have to try and stay, you know, 1 section away from each other. Don't ever go 2 sections away. B is too far from here. Now, I said there's 2 people going outside. So what you're doing is just communicating with your teammate on the angles that you're checking. For example, you can check the right-hand side while they check this left-hand side, but eventually you actually want to converge on 1 angle. Team shotting is king in this game, and often all it takes is saying, let's check this 1 angle together, especially with 120s that can hit from so far away. You can really catch someone off guard if the 2 of you peek the exact same angle intentionally. Instead of going through all of the route options beyond this point, I'll talk about that when I discuss the mid control, defending, and attacking. A4. This is where you decide to send all 3 people to the outside. I don't like to do this because I want to play this nice and slow and try and get a kill through here. It's usually so that I can throw my opponent off by rotating all the way around and getting some different angles. Of course, there are multiple different combinations of angles, and that's actually something I'm going to run through. How to maintain mid control or how to attack mid control. Now, as you guys are going outside, they're going to catch on very quickly because they're not going to see any pings. They might be going B, they might be going jump up, and they're going to know right away. So like I said before, the idea isn't for you to kind of come here and play slow. I usually like to rotate really quick. I like to send someone, you know, all the way across here and see if I can get a really quick angle like this. I like to send someone, again, across this side so I can get an angle here or maybe even here, depending on whether or not this is cleared. And I like to have 1 teammate here to kind of watch these angles. Just before we switch over to the other spawn side, I wanted to mention the Discord because today we may get to celebrate cracking 2,000 members. We have an LFG if you're looking for people to play with, regardless of whether or not it's PvP or PvE, and there's some talented folks that know everything about the game if you ever have any questions. The link is in the description if you'd like to join. It's a really good way for me to get to know a lot of you better. I hope to see you in there, but let's get back to the video. All right, I think that's enough from when you're starting at A, but let's say you're starting on the other side, and I'll give this a different numbering system. We'll call it B1. I like to send 2 people through B, typically 1 on the right-hand side there, and then 1 through stairs, but cutting in through here. And then the 3rd person, I also like to send stairs, but aiming more so in the direction of jump up. The reason I make sure to send 2 people up through stairs is because a lot of teams like to pressure jump up. And so this person right here, they can support in this direction if they need to. Those 2 people might immediately back out and turn the other direction, but in case they do run into people, they're not instantly dead. Let me run through those angles in game. All right, looking at B1 when you're on this side, I said I like to send 2 people kind of in this direction, right? So we'll start off with this person who's going through B. I like to hop up on the box first. My radar is going to already tell me what's going on. Sometimes I'll throw a grenade right there. If I catch someone, I can challenge. If I don't, I might slide out here. Same deal. I want to block off that lane from here and see if I can get an angle. If I know I'm not getting a radar ping from that direction, I might just hop right up on here and get some different angles as well. So the second person that goes to the right-hand side, I said to go through stairs and then to the right. The reason why I like to do that is because if they're going through stairs, they can check on jump up first with their teammate, which I'm going to show you in a second, who's going upstairs as well, and shoot to the left-hand side. Or if there's no one there, they can get a good angle right here. There's just a lot of options that you have from this direction. but ultimately they can support their teammate right here. Lastly, if that other person is coming up through stairs, their main job is solely to dedicate paying attention to here, because again, that person on pipes might not be doing what I'm saying to do. They might have checked this corner first and then decided to actually slide up. You're also the person who's responsible for making sure you understand if they're outside. You're the closest to this edge so that your radar can help you communicate to your team what the other team is doing. All right, let's look at a bit of a variation. We'll call this one B2. This is where I like to send 2 people up through stairs specifically, but that third person can get a bit of a different angle from this side. This is essentially a full-on attack to try and take over mid control. I really like this one because these 2 people on the inside closer to the B direction can either full force go through here and towards B with grenades if they see their radar pinging in that direction, or they can slide out and start attacking in this direction or jump up based on this person's pinging radar. All right, I think B2 was full send, so I'll just kind of explain all 3 at once. It's basically where you're all rushing mid as hard as you can, but you need to be a pretty synergized team in my opinion, because you have to be able to make decisions quickly. You all might decide, let's get 2 people to slide out of boxes and challenge here, while one person maybe throws a grenade there and goes jump up and challenges. You might all decide right here, if the radar is all on the right hand side, to go like this, while one person goes on jump up and gets an angle like that, and the other 2 push in the direction I just showed you. All right, let's look at another version, B3. Maybe you want to send someone outside. I actually don't recommend sending 1 person in the middle and 2 outside. I don't like that at all. If anyone's ever going to go inside, they really should pair up with another buddy, because of the fact that they can just get annihilated if they're alone. And it's sort of tough for them to try and get away and get all the way back around with their team. However, this person right here, their radar is big enough that they can see if they're about to get pushed through here. They're not going to get pushed through heavy because they have 2 teammates here communicating with them. So all this person has to worry about is getting pushed from the outside. If they're not, they know that they can get a healthy angle over here. If they are, they can usually stop behind these boxes and quickly get around this corner here. And the key comes with deciding when to turn around, because if you turn around too late, you might get shot. By the time this team has reached center, they might shoot you while you're turning around. So that all comes with experience, which I'm going to show you in game right now. Now B3, the person going stairs, has that same responsibility that I talked about earlier, where they got to pay attention to the right hand side at B, you know, down there, as well as potentially jump up. But this scenario is different because one person is actually going to go all the way up to here and then just jump up right there. When you do this, I mentioned that you have to be very careful, because if you have people across looking right here, you have to be quick to immediately get down. You got to do whatever you can to stay alive in that situation. The person who's going outside, again, their sole job is to kind of figure out if the team is coming outside and potentially get an angle from here. There's a number of different ways you can do it. This is a tight lane right here, but believe it or not, I have seen people get kills. This person who's out here might decide to cross this this threshold, I'll call it, but you have to be really careful. So if you're here and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get a snipe on this angle, which a lot of people like to check, you really got to be careful. Don't stay ADS too long, because you'll get caught off guard from someone sitting right there or up on this top pipe here. All right, since we did 4 on the other side, we'll do 4 on this side as well. That's where you'd try and send all 3 people outside. Similar story here. I don't really like doing this and giving up mid control, but if I do, I'm probably going to try and really force a complete rotation and then take a few different angles, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Let me jump in and show some of these angles or how to do this rotation quickly, and then we're going to talk all about that attacking and defending mid control. All right, and the last one is where, you know, you're all just going outside, all 3 of you. And this is where I kind of said I like to do it as quick as possible. Again, you got to be aware of your radar, because you need to know if you're about to be in a fight here. You really need to use these boxes to your advantage. You know, have a person peeking on this side or just like this. Have a person right here. A really good way to get people is by throwing grenades on that back wall and behind. Having someone up closer right here is handy, because now they have a bit of an angle. Sometimes you'll have someone jumping up top here, or they can just do this. But as I mentioned when going over the map, the whole point, in my opinion, is to get total rotation going, so that you can try and challenge from, you know, a bunch of different angles and sort of reset. When I kept talking about mid, I'm essentially talking about this ring. The map says inner ring, outer ring. We're not really going to worry about that. I'm just talking about maintaining control of this middle zone. Now, when all 3 of your teammates are in here, there's a number of different lanes that you really need to be aware of, which I'm going to show you in game as well. You almost always need 2 people focusing on this right-hand side here, because there's a lot of different angles that you need to defend. So as you can see, it can be fairly difficult to protect this, but fortunately Destiny's radar system is so insane that it doesn't actually take that much. When you have someone even in the vicinity of this section of the mid control area, their radar can ping incredibly far. Much the same, just by having someone on jump up behind this wall right here, they can watch for pings in this direction very well. And lastly, you always need someone kind of hovering around this area, because typically when an outside team is trying to get angles on you, a lot of them will try and go through glass to really get you to focus on a radar ping over here. All right, let's talk about mid control. I'm going to try and show you some lanes from the inside to be worried about, and then just convert to what those look like on the attacking side. When you're keeping mid control, like I said with the drawing on the map, you need to be aware of kind of those three main areas. Focus on pinging your radar in this direction. The other one is obviously this area, this middle area. You need to understand when they're crossing over this boundary from that side, like from pad over to over here. And then last but not least, you really need someone at all times paying attention to whether or not they're trying to get the flank. So what are some of these angles? Well, let me just show you a few of them. So a good one you can take is right here. If anyone ever goes up this staircase, this is a really nice angle to take. You kind of got to make sure you're not open to this area right here. You want to be just far enough left that you're pretty well safe. The person covering middle, you actually can sit here. Do not do this because I will lose a ton of respect for you. But you can sit here. It's just a little risky because now you can get grenaded from that back wall, from this wall, from this wall. So I don't really like to do that. I typically like to hang tight to like this wall or there, or going right here. Here, this is kind of cheeky. You can kind of see from here, right? You see how it opens up right there, that like the map wall kind of like disappears sometimes like that. What I do like about this spot is that you can do quick little hops to take a peek. Just don't sit here and hop forever, because if you're up against a really good sniper on the outside, they could actually get a pick. The third person when doing mid control it's so important. It's so important to have a handle on this little wall right here. You can read no matter what if that team is pushing through here. So the three of you kind of need to just communicate and work together. There's really no reason to sit all the way back here. This is a pretty common snipe. So if you're a sniper, this is the one thing I would say is good for being back here, is if you plan on trying to get a snipe through pipes right there. That's a pretty common one. There is technically, I can't remember. Where is it? You know, but again, kind of cheeky. That's sort of how I like to keep mid control. And then be aware of your cap point location. And as long as you're communicating, you should be okay. All right, so if you're outside and you're trying to take mid control because you're like, damn it, the cap point is in there, we need to find a way to get in there. This is the number one rule: 2 and 1. Your team should always think 2 and 1. Don't ever split up 3 different ways. That's just going to get you killed. And you don't really need to ever kind of full send all 3 in one direction, because grenades in this game are so strong and radars are so good at telling where you are. And the reason why I say the 2 and 1 is because of radar distraction. The person flanking, their job isn't really necessarily to try and get a pick. Like sometimes, you know, a lot of teams will say like, oh, I'm a sniper, let me go out on my own and get a pick. Yeah, sure, if you're a god tier sniper, that might work. But typically the person on their own isn't expected to get a kill. They're expected to mess with the opposing team's radar so the other team can have some confusion, and then go in as a support role once the team decides to execute on a play. If I'm the other 2 people, I'm basically reacting to what the flanking person is saying, or I'm communicating with my teammate right here on what angle to peek together to try and get a very quick team shot. Another option for a flank is messing with the radar on this side. Like when you're right here, the opponents can often get confused with exactly where you are. You also have the ability to throw grenades up there on jump up. You can peek this pretty carefully. You can peek that carefully. You can wrap all the way around here. Again, this one is a little more tricky, because if you do get turned on, how do you get back to your team? If they're turning on you in this direction and you try and run around here, you got to cross this whole line right here to get back to your team, and you're just going to get annihilated. So this one can be handy sometimes, but you got to be pretty confident in your gameplay. And I would probably only do it if your team was in a fight. All right, so this longer style content is pretty in-depth. If you prefer simpler, less thorough content, could you let me know in the comments below? If and only if you enjoyed it, consider dropping a like to help get this video shared to others, and subscribe if you're looking for more tips in PvP coming soon. That's it for today, folks. I'll catch you in the next one.